welcome to the 14th episode of the Knitting Spring podcast. My name is Tonya, and I will be your host this evening. I'm riding on a little bit of a high today from our meetup yesterday. Well, not meetup, it was Kristen from Yarngasm Woolen Vine Yarns Trunk Show at Do You Knit in Westfield, New Jersey, and it was a great day and lots of yarn bought, etc. But I just had such a wonderful time yesterday that I'm just still super excited about it today. But let me introduce myself. My name is Tonya. I am your host. I'm coming to you from Manhattan, New York, and you can find me as Cheeky Monkey on Ravelry, Cheeky Monkey 1 on Instagram, and the show notes can be found at knittingspring.com. I have been busy this week. I'm sort of a little loopy today with everything going on. Really busy day at work, and then all the excitement yesterday. And so if I'm a little loopy today, I apologize. But I just want to thank everyone that said hello to me yesterday at the Do You Knit shop. That was so nice. So lovely to meet you. It's always nice to put faces to my viewers, and I know I can see your pictures or projects on Ravelry or even sometimes on Instagram, but it's so nice to see you in person and say hello, and I really appreciate everybody who takes the time to say hello or leave a comment, etc., and just sitting and watching me every week. That's so great. And you subscribe, and here you are, and you're chatting with me. So I have made up for the last time I was when I was ill a few weeks ago. I have 2 finished objects. Nothing super big, but stuff I'm really excited about. The first one is my little voodoo doll for my niece Adeline. It's the Voodoo You Love Me doll by Susan Claudino. I should have put this over a little bit more, but it's on there so securely that I'm afraid to take it off. But I got the little eye and the mouth and it's so nice and floppy, and I just love this little bobblehead up top. It has just turned out so cute, and I think she is just going to absolutely just adore it. And so I am putting this in the mail to her for her birthday along with some other treats tomorrow. So I'm so excited to send this to her. So this was super easy to make. I'm not a big stuffy person. I do like making them for my niece and nephew, but it's not a go-to knitting project for me. But this was so quick, so easy. I started it last Sunday and I finished it last night. So really easy, very simple to make, and it just turns out so cute. And I made this out of Plymouth Jelly Beans yarns in the white colorway. And all this is on my project page in Ravelry. And then my other finished object is just a small item. It's just a dish washcloth. And I showed my progress in this last week, and then I just finished this up sometime this week at lunch or something like that. But I really like this, and it's always nice to have a new washcloth. I love using them. So I finished, that's it. That's all I finished. My works in progress. I'm going to start with something you've all seen before. I have made some progress on my sweater, but I'm still not done. I love this sweater, but I swear, it's just, when you've been working on something for so long, I know it hasn't been a year or something, but this is a long time for me for a sweater. Beginning of January, I cast this on, so this is it's about 2.5 months I've been working on this, and oh man, but I have made some progress. You can see where the hanger stitch marker is on the sweater. That's where I got since a couple weeks ago, so you can see not much. I mainly concentrated on my voodoo doll this past week because I want to get in the mail tomorrow, so that really became my priority, and this sort of took second place. But I have put some some time into it, and I'm getting there. And I don't know, I probably have at least another, thinking I have at least another 5 inches to go before I finish the body. That includes like ribbing and everything. So I think about another 5 inches, which is enough. And then I am doing this short sleeves. Jacqueline from the Brooklyn Knitfo podcast left me a comment after my last podcast, and she agreed that this was such a pretty spring sweater that short sleeves would be the best way to go, and I was really happy to get that sort of second opinion and to verify that I'm doing this short sleeve. So once I get the body done, the sleeves will be an absolute breeze. So just got to get this body done, and I really want to wear it, and then I'm just going to block this out a little bit. After I talked to you guys last time, I talked about fitting and sweater and construction, etc. So I was still like thinking about that when I finished podcasting last week. And so I was doing some research, and I'm like, I'm making all these raglan sleeve sweaters. I like them. They're top down. They're for me, they're simple to make. And I'm like, but am I really creating the right type of sweater for my body? Are raglan sleeves something that's, I mean, even though I like them and like the way they fit, etc., I'm like, but is it really something? So I did some research and looked up about raglan sleeve shaping and how it accentuates your body. So what I found out is that raglan sleeves are really good for somebody that has broad shoulders or narrow shoulders. And I'll tell you the difference between the two. If you want to minimize your shoulder width, then you make a raglan sleeve because it's drawing up to your face, but you want to have an open neck like this. This is a V-neck t-shirt, so you want to have something open. And I like V-necks because I feel like when I get caught here, I feel like I don't think it elongates my neck enough, so I feel like this skin right here helps to elongate my neck and face. And then if you have narrow shoulders, you can still do a raglan. It's still flattering, but you do a crew neck up here so that you help extend that line across your shoulders. So I thought that was really interesting and good that I'm sort of on the right path. And not that I don't want to do set-in sleeves. There is a sweater that I really like that has a V-neck, and it's short sleeve. It's a t-shirt. And Amy Herzog designed it, and it's in my queue for some time this year, but it is a piece together sweater. You do the front, the back, and the shoulders come in at another point. I don't think it's knitting around. I really think there's a front, a back, and then sleeves. I believe that's how she typically designs her sweater patterns. And so I'm just really trying to make sure I am creating things that are flattering for me. Now, the sweaters I've done up to this point, I'm okay with how they've turned out. Am I 100% pleased on all of them fitting and everything? Not exactly, but for me, I need to go through a process, understand what I'm doing, understand what it's creating, to understand how to fit it better for me. For me, I just went into it and just knit a sweater. How's this going to turn out? Does it fit in? Is it too loose or whatever? And then I can now, after having several sweaters underneath my belt, I can better understand the direction I want to go, how to do things. Now, one thing I really need to work on is the underneath the arms for the sweaters. I'd like to tighten them up a little bit, and I need to really work on getting a good yoke measurement for myself. And then I've been really trying to pay attention about all of my store-bought sweaters. Now, most of my store-bought sweaters and even most of my t-shirts are fitted to my body. Most of my t-shirts, yes, even most of my t-shirts are sort of fitted. I mean, there's, give because it's a knitted fabric, and there's spandex typically in most clothing today. So there is stretch, and it'll stretch to my body, but it's they're not baggy on me. There's not positive ease typically to most of my tops. But the thing that I'm worried about is making a sweater that I think has no ease, positive or negative, in my sweaters, because I'm afraid that it's going to be too small. I personally would rather have a sweater be a little big on me, or even baggy, rather than something I can't wear. I mean, I could give it away to somebody, but that's not my goal here. My goal is to make sweaters that fit me and something that I feel confident in. And so I think I'll get there. I just need to keep doing it, understanding. I think the more I knit with fingering weight yarn and understand my gauge better. I've knit several sweaters. I know I've used different yarn, but I typically use ChowGoo needles, and it's always the same needle, and they're typically 4s. That's what I typically knit all of my fingering weight sweaters out of. It doesn't matter what the gauge the pattern calls for. I don't know if it's the yarn that's changing it, but I seem to get gauge for a pattern on size 4 needles. I don't know why, but that's just how it's all worked out. I've done gauge swatches for all of my sweaters except for the first one. I just sort of wanted to start making it, so that one's a little off, so I can't really count that one. But it is a large swatch, so I can use it as seeing where my gauge is and how it's altering in over time, because in April will be a year since I first started knitting sweaters in earnest again. So I need to take all of that into consideration, etc. Hopefully that'll help me. The next sweater I'm making is a heavy DK light worsted, so I'm definitely doing a gauge swatch for that because that's different than what I've been knitting in, but I think all this will come into play. But okay, I think I've rambled on enough about that little stream of conscious talking there. But the yarn, I've already talked about this many times, but in case this is the first time you've seen the sweater or have watched me or etc., this is, the yarn is Stellar Banshee. It's from Woolen Vine Yarns, and it is in her Volca base, which is 80%, I should know this by now, 80% merino, 10% cashmere. Oh, geez. Now I can't remember. It is, yes, 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and it's 435 yards. And this is what it looks like in the skein. And then there's her tag. And then this is what it looks like knitted up. And it's stunning. It looks even better in daylight. I had it out when we were waiting for the train in New Jersey yesterday, and in the sunlight, it just all the little subtle colors come out. You can sort of see it on screen. It's a little bit better. But really it just shines in the sunlight. It really does. And it's super soft and beautiful, and I'm really happy with this. And I'm just going to double check. Oh, the pattern is Ribby by Olga Burya Kefelian. And she is I know she also knits for Brooklyn Tweed. But this is her pattern. It's supposed to be a long sleeve, and these ribs are supposed to go all the way down to the wrist. But I'm going to just knit to a cuff. Probably a little longer than my t-shirt, probably to about here on a sweater. That's where I like my sweaters to go, and that's about where this will end up being for a sweater. Even if it somehow comes down to just above my elbow, I'm okay with that too. So, t-shirts are a little bit different. I usually just wear t-shirts like this around my house, or if I'm running down to the bodega at the bottom of my apartment, that's about all I use these t-shirts for, or sleep in or something. It's just like a lounging garment for me. Just, I have this on to knit today, hang out, watch some movies, stuff like that. That's typically what I wear this for. I don't wear t-shirts to work, but this is like Gap or Old Navy or something, but nothing wrong with that. It's just I can't wear that in my office. So, but yeah, so I think that's enough about that. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. But loving it. And maybe in 2 weeks, I'll have this done. I would really like that and be able to wear this. I want to wear this so bad. I said I was a product knitter a couple weeks ago, but as I was thinking about making and knitting sweaters, I'm also obviously interested in the process of creating something and being involved in making a well-fitting garment. All right, that's enough about that one. This is I just cast on for another washcloth. Oh, geez. I must have been knitting on this, waiting for something and had to stop. But this is just another washcloth, and I'm using the same yarn. It's Knit Picks Dishy, Clementine, and yeah. So I'm just trying to use up all my scraps for washcloths I had knit for birthdays last year. And I always use US size 5s, the cotton yarn I really do like the Knit Picks Dishy. It's great. It's really worn well for me. I've had one washcloth I knit for myself a year ago, and it's still going strong. There's no wear, and it goes to a commercial laundromat, so can't beat that. This is in my homespun house little project bag, and yeah, let's see. Is there anything? Oh, the pattern I typically use for my dishcloths, or there's a multitude of patterns. Dishcloth Diva. You can get the ebook on Ravelry. There's a ton of patterns in there. I've tried several of them, and I've just really like the minimalist pattern. If you do it in a gray cotton, they're like spa washcloths. I am telling you, they're just fabulous. They look good. I knit them for a friend, and he has a beautiful bathroom, and he put them in there, and it really looked like a little spa countertop. So I highly recommend getting that pattern book. I can't remember how much I paid for it. It was a while ago, but she has tons of patterns in there, and if you're interested, and then there's a ton of free ones on Ravelry as well. And then the other, sorry, I had to reach there, ran out of room on my desk today, is, oh yeah, I worked on my Cozy Memories blanket a little bit. Very, very happy about that. I would love to get like a square a week done, but I just don't seem to be doing that. But slow but steady progress. I'm getting somewhere. So I finished this square, and I can't remember if this square is from, I think this is from Mina of the Knitting Expat podcast, gave me this one. So I put that in, and then this little green insert is from Canon Hand Eyes. I got a mini skein set from her. It's called I think it was the Frankenstein or something like that colorway. It was a series of greens. Excuse me, I had a sneezing attack. I think there's pollen or dust, or it's today's spring equinox, so all the pollen's in the air, and I'm sneezing. Anyways, this green square is from Canon Hand Eyes, and she had a mini skein gradient set at Indie Untangled last year at Rhinebeck. And then this is, what do I have on there now? I cast on something new, and it's a real pretty blue. It's in here somewhere. Here it is. And this, I believe, as well, is from Mina. So this blue is either from Mina or Kristen, and then I know this one's, I'm almost positive this is from Mina. I should keep better track of but I know it's from one of them, and I love the swap. I need to make like a grid or something for myself to help me memorize and know what's going in my blanket. And then I have this pretty black and white one just go next. And then this is in my Bags by Awesome Granny, and has a little matching notions pouch. and all of that. So just a little bit of something, but. And then the last thing on my needles is I did wind up and just barely start on my Yowza Wayet shawl by Susan B. Anderson. And this is in the Beautiful Dreams colorway. The yarn's stunning. Absolutely stunning. It's by Miss Babs. It's on her Yowza base. And it's heavy DK light worsted. And I just think this is going to make just the most beautiful shawl. You can't see on the outside, but if you look in the inside, there's even like a dark charcoal gray as well. And you can see it's just itty bitty little tab started there. And the reason I kind of paused, and it's all garter stitch, and you weigh as you go, and when you get to a certain point, it tells you when to stop. And I'm not giving anything away, you can tell from the picture. But and there's directions about how to make this, and I'm not sure if I'm going to follow the directions exactly or if I'm going to add a little bit of something into it. I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet, but I cast it on once, had to rip it out because I kept forgetting to make increases or something, but it made me think about it. So, but I'm really excited about this, and I'm usually pretty quick at shawls, so I don't know if it'll still be cool enough out for me to wear it, but I'm really excited about it, and the yarn's super soft. And that, I believe, is it. Sorry, and just looking at my show notes, make sure I didn't forget anything. And then I haven't made any progress on my brother's poor knee socks. They're still in the last place that you saw them, and I'm thinking they're not going to get any love until I get the sweater off my needles. I really want the sweater. So, and then, all right, so let's talk about stash enhancements and do units, trunk show. Pardon me again. My goodness, allergies. Okay, so let's start with things I didn't get at Do You Knit. These will be quick. I was starting to look at the Voodoo You Love Me pattern last Saturday or Sunday, and I didn't think I had US size 6 needles. But I eventually found them, but this is after I ordered some needles. And I like, I just got some Knitter's Pride needles. And the reflection from the lamps glaring off that, I apologize. But these, I got a US size 6, and they're 6-inch. I like either a 5-inch or a 6-inch DPN. Anything longer than that, I feel too cumbersome for me to use, and that's typically why I don't use straight needles either. I typically use, even if I'm just going back and forth, I typically use a cable needle because I just like the needles are just smaller for me, and it just works better for me. So I usually get 5 or 6, and I don't do socks and DPN. So even if I did do them, it would still be, these would be good enough. And then I got a pair of size 5s. I don't know if I have smaller than that. That's typically something that would be, and I have, anyways, sorry. And then since these were, I think these came up to like, these two things came up to like $10. I wasn't going to pay shipping for $10 worth of goods, and I've been wanting these for a really, really long time. I don't know. I think does that help? Yeah, that helps getting closer. The Knitter's Pride knit blockers. I've been wanting these for a really long time, and I have, I've just been using T-pins to block my shawls or anything with, and I can't stand pulling them out because they just get stuck in there and they just dig underneath the nails. And I'm now using needle nose pliers to pull them all out, but I think this is going to help me a lot. And they're super sharp. I think they're really going to work out well. And you can see There's a bunch of little ones and then a bunch of big ones in there. And they poke into a little like foam thing so they don't get dull. But they're really sharp. And it's like 4 T-pins in this like plastic casing. And I really like them a lot. And I can't wait to use them. So hopefully soon on my weighted shawl, which would be nice. Or my sweater. Because I'd like to block the neck out a little bit. So that was, I got that from Webb's, and I think I got that in at the beginning of the week. No, later in the week, because I thought I was going to use it on this, and then ended up digging around and found like long DPNs, and I just went for it. But that was like such a pain to do these little tiny arms on, because I think you just have like 8 stitches or something on the needles. And then so yesterday, as I said early in the podcast, I was at Kristen's Trunk Show at Do You Knit, the yarn shop in Westfield, New Jersey. Great little shop. It was jammed. That roof could have burst off, but it was a lot of fun. So many ladies there, and Kristen sold out of her yarn, but she had a beautiful, huge selection. I put a picture of us all diving for the yarn on my Instagram account, so you can check that out if you want to. And I made some purchases. So the first little purchase I made was, I really wanted some Spun Right Round, but it was sold out. And these are the colors I've been looking at on her website. And so I just picked up some minis, and I thought these would just be beautiful in the my Cozy Memories blanket. And I just love the gray background with these pops of color. Really, really like that one a lot. And then I got, sorry, I'm reaching, but I couldn't fit everything on my desk. And you know what? I'm just going to make one big reach, and I'll be right back. Okay. So I got a skein of Fiber Story. On the screen, you can see it. It's really making it look like it's a purple and green skein, but in person, it's very muted. And my camera seems to saturate colors. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, even though it's saturated, it's pretty, but it's not. It's a very muted, and it has these so the camera is pulling out the undertones of what's in this skein, but in real life, it has more of a warm gray brown sort of dark. Okay. I'm having some weird things going on with my computer today. My camera keeps freezing, and I've never had that problem before. I've never had that problem with this computer, so I don't know if I'm recording a lot, but I put all of my videos and stuff, I save everything to a external hard drive. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a connection error or something, but that shouldn't affect the software that records my podcast. Anyways, you don't want to hear about my technical computer difficulties. Let's go back to what we're here for. So I did get this skein of Fiber Story. Beautiful yarn. I've never had their yarn before. I don't believe so. I'm now getting a stash that I can't remember everything about, and I would love to have it all out in my apartment. One, I just physically don't have the room in my studio apartment, and then 2, New York apartments are typically dusty from all the particles that sort of float in from just the atmosphere. And even though my apartment here isn't that dusty, if you live on the front avenue somewhere, it still gets dust. And I dust off my stash that I keep out, but I can't imagine dusting off all of that yarn all the time. So it's not for, I mean, it helps if something happens, but it's not for bug problems. It's for dust problems for me. I have it in Ziploc bags and bins. I mean, being in a bin would probably be enough because the lid will keep the dust out, but that's the main reason I have all of my yarn away, is to keep it free from dust. And we were talking yesterday that, Do You Knit University. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name. I can't believe this, but and I watch her podcast, and I listen to her talking about her the repost she does from her Periscope. I can't believe I can't remember. Chris Kelly. I believe it's Chris Kelly, or that's somebody I used to work with. Or they have the same name. Sorry. So if you're watching, I really apologize. I don't believe she watches me, but if you do or you know her, I apologize. She talks about airing out your yarn, and I would love to do that, but I can't imagine where I would do that in New York. I'd have to go to Central Park, take a bunch of sheets, and then have people stand around my yarn so nobody would take it and air it out there. But so that's not really an option. But hopefully I'm going to go through it quick enough. I wish I could knit fast enough to go through my stash as much as I purchase it. I didn't think I would be this big of a stasher, but I found that if I don't get it when I see it, I'm upset that I didn't get it, because sometimes I can't get it later. Not everybody's dying to, so you can get custom dyes with some people, etc., but not always. So I never regret buying yarn, but yeah, so it's getting big enough where I don't think I've bought Fiber Story before. Long way around. I bought Fiber Story. And the color is Wander. And then I bought a second skein, and I'll try to go through this faster without so many tangents. And this one is Sue. And both of them are 100% superwash merino, 400 yards. And this one, I believe, you can see this one's a different colorway, but it's more tonal. It's it's a gray-brown color. It's a warm brown, a warm gray for sure, leaning with some brown or green undertones into it when you see it in person in the daylight. And I'm thinking about using this for the Wildesmeer shawl by Woolenvine, Kristen's new shawl pattern. And I thought that would be pretty. And then I got last summer, I still want to make this, but I haven't yet, a canopy shawl. And I bought these beads to put in the canopy shawl. And I'm not sure. This might work. It might not. This is the first time I'm putting it together. And I'm not sure if it's going to go or not. So when I get there and I start putting it in, I'm going to still take this skein with me to Maryland Sheep and Wool that weekend. And I know there's a bead store in Alexandria. So I'm going to take this skein, if I haven't already started it, but I don't think I'm going to get to this before the beginning of May, which is 47 days away because I started my countdown this afternoon. So I'm not sure if these are going to go together. Now that I really look at it, I'm not sure. I'm on the fence about that. I don't know if I'm going to like that, but moving on. Then I got Trillium Fibers. This is my first skein of Trillium Fibers, and that's not that off from what it is in real life. It is definitely an electric purple. I absolutely just love it. It's in her Pebble sock, 100% superwash merino, 380 yards, and it's the Daphne colorway. And again, this is Trillium Fiber. I'll have all these in the show notes, but I got this, and then I've wanted Anzula for a while too, but I sort of accidentally picked these up together and was looking at them, and I just think this combination is stunning. And I really want to make a 2-color shawl. Don't know what pattern, but I know I want a 2-color shawl out of these. And both of these are soft, but this Anzula is just beautiful. It has cashmere in it. It's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. The colorway is pewter. It's 385 yards, and it's the squishy base. And it's absolutely stunning. It is definitely squishy. It lives up to everything that it's known for. So very happy about that. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Yes. So that's it for the non-Woolenvine yarn. Then I picked up some of Kristen's because I am a huge Woolenvine fan, and I got another bright, a little bit different, but even these would make an interesting pairing, but I like the gray. I love this colorway. I've been wanting this for a very, very long time. And this is on her footsie base. It's Violet Star Galactica, and that's 80% superwash blue face luster and 20% nylon 400 yards. Is that just, I mean, that's just going to make the coolest pair of socks. So excited about that. And then I got another skein of Pandora on footsie, and I already have, I either have Pandora on footsie or Volca. I can't remember. But I know I have Pandora, but I love it. That just says Tonya everywhere. And then the last skein I got yesterday was this Woolen Vine. It's on her narwhal base, so I've never had her narwhal base before. It's the Love Song colorway, and this is 70% blue face, superwash blue face luster, silk, and cashmere, 438 yards, and it's just beautiful. I love this Love Song colorway. It's like these just beautiful purples. It looks sort of like maroony purples on camera, but it's not. It's just beautiful, subtle purples, and it's really, I love this. I've been wanting this colorway too. I don't have this colorway. And I believe, oh, one more thing. Forgot this. So I like these little tins to put notions in. I don't know if that's going to show. Anyways, it's just a Do You Knit tin. And I got these glass, they're glass snagless stitch markers. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. So they're these glass stitch markers, and I got this like sort of purple gray one. This is a golden color one, and this is a dark gray. But they're neat. I've never seen these glass stitch markers before, and I like snagless stitch markers. So I got those, and I would definitely buy more of those. They're really neat. Okay, I feel like I've just been going a mile a minute here. So talked about that. Oh, so Maryland Sheep and Wool is coming up. On my Instagram, you'll see that I put my little calendar countdown up. So I'm so excited about that. That's the next thing that I will be attending. Oh, I can't wait for that. I can't believe 47 days is going to go by in a blink, because it's already March 20th, which is just insane, of 2016. And I mean, the years just fly anymore. I remember being like 7 or 8 thinking I was never getting to the next like birthday, like every year. And it's amazing when you get older. It's just, they just sort of tick right off, and you're just like, what happened to the last 10 years? I can't believe that went by. And now, and so it's funny. But let's go on. Okay, so let's talk about the India Long. Anna, I think maybe it's Anna, A-N-J-A. Maybe I was pronouncing it wrong, but you won the prize for the Woolen Vine knit along. I sent you a note in Ravelry. Your yarn, or the yarn, and should be to you. You already received and told me you got the pattern that I sent you, but the physical yarn for the giveaway should be to your house tomorrow, Monday. I'm thinking I'll have this podcast up tonight, so maybe you'll see it before then, but I wrote you a note via Ravelry when you should be able to expect it. I can't believe I forgot it again. Okay, I'm going to pause. Okay, I had to pause because I had to show this to you. This is the giveaway for the Miss Babs knit along that I'm doing, the India Long that's just running. This next 2 months we're going to be knitting with Miss Babs yarn. Any project, any weight of yarn, whips are allowed. Join in, have fun. Beautiful bag. And so I'm going to, for the prize, I decided I'm going to give away Mina's. Mina generously donated this to the podcast. And this is her beautiful project bag. And she has this nice little handle. And then the inside as well is in that lovely coral, sort of like, it reminds me of like sort of tropical blinds that you would have in sort of like a daybed scenario on the beach. Anyway, so she says everybody sees something different um, in this pattern. And just for fun, if you want, tell me what you guys see in this, because I see something else, and maybe in a week or two I'll tell you what I see. But she says everybody sees something different in this pattern. There's no prize or anything for this, and you don't have to leave a comment, but I just thought it would be fun. It's almost Rorschach-y, the pattern, and I think it would be fun to see what everybody sees in the pattern. She says everybody sees something different, and I told her what I saw. We started talking about other people's impressions. It was fun when she gave it to me. And then I'm also going to include Mina's Highlander Peaks shawl. She wore that when she was here in January. It's beautiful. So I'm going to donate a pattern of Mina's, and then she donated a project bag for the knit along. So post your finished objects. I have a thread open, knitting, crochet, weaving, anything you want to do. So as long as you're not just binding off one stitch, as long as it's not a bind off row, you knit a little bit, finish up the project, Miss Bab's yarn. There's plenty of knit alongs going on, so it can be double dip, triple dip, whatever you're knitting for, feel free. And yes, so that will end April 30th. I'll close the thread probably the 30th, maybe a day or two after that, whenever, I can get to it. But yes. Then, okay, so books. I have been really, listening, but reading books lately. I went through quite a dry spell last year, and I've really picked up again. I found quite a few books that I like listening to, and right now I just finished Comfort Me with Apples by Ruth Reichel. It's her second book in her memoir series that she talks about her life with food and being a restaurant critic, etc. So I am up to about 1989. That's when Comfort Me with Apples ends. And then I don't know if it's Garlic and Sapphires that picks up after that. I think it is. And then I think her other book is Not My Mother. So I am definitely moving on to listening to her other books. I absolutely love listening to her tell the story. She narrates on the Audible book or the audio book, and I couldn't recommend it more. Absolutely could not recommend that, her books or her writing more. And yes, so she's going to be actually speaking in New York in April, and I might try to go and see her. I think it's for her new book she just came out with, but I would love to see her and hear her speak. And so if I have time, I think I might do that. The other book I finished was a bit of a disappointment for me. I've talked about this. I read A Walk Through the Woods recently by Bill Bryson. And then I picked up Lost Continent by him. It was written 10 years earlier. And I'm not going to go through the various reasons I found the book disappointing. His voice definitely changed in the 10 years from when he wrote that book, Lost Continent. It's about his travels to small town America, and I hate using air quotes, but I have to for that, because the main reason I don't like the book is I think it was ill-planned. It felt like there was no rhyme or reason for his destinations. It seemed to be a sort of a higgledy-piggledy kind of quilting together of stops, and I was really surprised, very surprised about that. I know he writes another book shortly after, I think the year or two after he writes A Walk in the Woods. It's called I'm a Stranger Here Myself. And that again is his revisit to the United States, and much better written, funnier. Couple funny things in A Lost Continent, but seemed very bitter to me. And that's not the reason I didn't like it. I can handle a bitter narrator, but it was really the lack of planning I felt that he's going to be for a travel writer. Anyways, I could go on and on. There's definitely other reasons, but I don't recommend that if you're a Bill Bryson fan. If you haven't read it, I recommend his later works for sure. A Walk in the Woods, Notes on a Small Island, In a Sunburnt Country, and um, sorry, my alarm clock was going off. And Notes, I'm a Stranger Here Myself. I think that's all I've read of his, but those are funny. He has interesting insights. They're much more planned out, make more sense to me. And so I found out that there was a Walk in the Woods movie. I thought it was translated very well. It's a bit different than the book. It's based on his book, but I really thought they captured the essence of what the book was about, the tone. Excuse me again. And they even added some of the bits of some of the things I liked best about A Walk in the Woods was sort of the trivial. I don't want to say they're not trivial because they're meaningless. I mean, like sort of trivia facts. I like, it's about talking about how the glaciers made the Appalachian Mountains, the history, who came up and designed the idea for the Appalachian Trail, etc. All those sort of like facts and history that sort of he wove into the story. I really like that. I like history a whole lot. I've read a lot of history books, biographies, history of something. One of my favorites is The History of Salt. Oh, that is a must read. If you like history or anything sort of like that, The History of Salt is a must read. And that was, I read that a really long time ago, maybe 10 years or so ago. And then what I'm reading now is I just picked up a light read. It is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and I'm only about 4 or 5 chapters in at the moment, but I thought it's funny. It's a witty take on Pride and Prejudice. He leaves all the sort of key quintessential elements that Jane Austen, that you would know of the book, that sort of are memorable moments, that are things that are said, like Mr. Darcy at the dance when he sort of puts down Elizabeth, or Mrs. Bennet talking about her nerves. All those sort of things are still in the book, but it's it's from the point of view where zombies, or a plague of zombies, has overtaken. What is that? What's the period? Napoleon. I guess Napoleon England. It's around it's during the Napoleonic Wars, and right before the Battle of Waterloo, etc. Hasn't happened yet when Jane Austen wrote the book, but sort of like Napoleonic England. I can't remember the name of the time period. It's going to drive me crazy. Anyway, so this is not a history lesson. Anyways, it's funny, it's witty. He weaves it in. If you like, I think it's only, anybody could listen to it, but I think you have to understand, maybe not, but I would have read Jane Austen first. I think you would appreciate the book more if you read Pride and Prejudice first and then read this book, because it's really based on that book. And to understand the witticism of putting in zombies into this book it's funny. And I've read Pride and Prejudice several times, so I think it's funny. And like I said, Pride and Prejudice I wouldn't call a light read, but this is, because it has the elements of zombies in it, sort of the witty take on it. And I've read Pride and Prejudice so many times, so it's, I know what's coming. I understand, it's easy. And then, so podcasts. I have finally got on the Legacy Knits podcast bandwagon. With being sick and super busy at work, I've just sort of been keeping up with my regular podcasts I'd been listening to, and I'm slowly trying to incorporate new podcasts into my repertoire. And I'm trying to get like one new one every week. And so I finally started listening to them. They were at Do You Knit Woolen Trunk Show yesterday. I didn't get to say hi to them. I don't think they listen to me, watch me. But I was really overwhelmed with the amount of people in there, and I'm not good with big crowds, or when I go to knitting festivals, I have to go and do a little bit of shopping. then extricate myself out, take a break from all the crowd, and then go back, take a break. So that's sort of how I work myself through a knitting festival or anything I go to, like Christmas time when it's really busy at the mall. When I go home, we go to the mall and it's shopping. Sometimes I just have to even step outside the building of the mall. So I get overwhelmed in crowds of people. So I didn't get to, I mingled around a little bit. I got to talk to some of you, and that was really great. But I didn't get to see them when they came in. The owner was talking to them. They were talking to Kristen and some Jenny and Jacqueline, etc. And I just sort of, I should have said hi, and I'm sorry I didn't. But you guys look lovely. I love your podcast if you ever watch this. And so, and they're just like they are on camera. They're delighted. I could see their spirits, and they're really effervescent, I think. And I think they have a great dynamic together. I think that's really lovely. So I've had a couple other ones I want to talk about, and I must have forgotten to write them down because I wrote my show notes on Friday. And I thought about a couple other ones I wanted to talk about, but they're escaping me right now. So as I remember them, I'll talk to it in, but I know I'm a latecomer to Legacy Knits. But I'm getting there. I'm slowly getting there. And I wish all of you well. I think I am out of stuff to chat with you guys about this week, but I will talk to you guys soon. Happy knitting, and yeah, enjoy the spring. I think it's a little cold here today, but the next few days should be really beautiful. So we're having a very mild winter and here in New York, and I'm really happy about that. Don't want summer, full blaze, 90-degree heat, but I will take this for quite some time. So nice talking to you all again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.